You know that old story about the thirsty crow, right? Well, what if I told you it's not just some fable for kids? What if it's actually a step-by-step masterclass for solving problems that feel, completely impossible?
Yeah, seriously. Hidden inside this really simple story is this brilliant blueprint for strategy, for innovation. It's basically a guide to thinking outside the box that you can use for pretty much any challenge that comes your way, whether it's huge or something small.
All right, so let's break this down. The first step in any real problem-solving journey is just getting a handle on the stakes. And for our crow, the stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking life or death here. And that changes everything.
I mean, the urgency is just intense. The story doesn't pull any punches. This isn't just, oh, I could use a drink. No, this is a real survival situation. The crow is basically facing a total system shutdown, and that clock is ticking fast.
And then, just when things look their worst, a breakthrough. After this desperate search, he spots it, a pitcher of water. It seems like the perfect answer, right? The very thing he needs to survive is sitting right there in front of him.
But, of course, there's a catch. And this is the first huge roadblock. See, spotting the solution and actually getting to it, totally different things. The water's there, but he can't reach it. It's a classic problem, right? How do you close that gap between where you are and where you need to be? So, what does the crow do first? Well, probably exactly what most of us would do. He goes straight for brute force, just pure instinct. He tries to smash the thing, right? Use his strength. But nope, the pitcher's too strong. Then he tries to knock it over, fails again. He's just burning through a ton of energy, running on instinct, and getting absolutely nowhere. And here's the tough lesson, isn't it? Just trying harder with a wrong plan doesn't just not work. It actually makes things worse. He's wasting precious resources. And, in his case, that's the little energy he has left. Okay, so this brings us to what I think is the most important moment in the entire story. It's the turning point. It's when the crow stops just doing and starts thinking. You know, in the business world today, we'd have a fancy term for this. We'd call it a strategic pivot. And that's exactly what it is. It's making that conscious choice to say, okay, this isn't working, and then looking at the whole problem from a completely different angle. That's where the real magic, the real innovation happens. And the whole pivot, the whole genius of it, is captured in this one tiny phrase. He looked around. That's it. It says everything. He stops trying to force it. He stops ramming his head against the wall. Instead, he just observes. He shifts from mindless action to mindful awareness. And that's the game changer. And that one simple act of just looking around, it unlocks a whole new path forward. A much smarter one. You can almost see the gears turning as this ingenious solution starts to take shape. What's cool is that the crow's new strategy isn't some one-off magic trick. It's a real process, something you could actually repeat. First, he observes what's around him. Then, he identifies a tool. In this case, the pebble's just lying there. He comes up with a plan, and then he just methodically puts it into action. And he does it one pebble at a time. This part is so important. He gets that he doesn't need some huge, heroic effort to fix everything at once. No, the real solution is in these small, consistent steps. I mean, one pebble does almost nothing, right? It seems totally insignificant. But you add enough of them together, and they create massive change. So what's the result of this patient, super smart strategy? Success. The water level rises, and suddenly that out-of-reach solution is right there for him. And think about it. He didn't destroy the pitcher. He worked with the physics of the situation to change it from the inside out. So what's the big takeaway here? Let's look at that famous moral that everybody knows, but let's look at it through this new problem-solving lens we've been talking about. The classic line is, of course, where there is a will, there is a way. And sure, on one level, that's true. The crow definitely had the will to live, no doubt about it. But the story actually shows us it's a little more nuanced than that. Think about it. His will alone just led him to brute force and failure. The way, the actual solution, wasn't just found through wanting it bad enough. It was found through something I'd call creative persistence. It's the will to keep going, but also the creativity to stop, think, and try something totally different when your first plan hits a wall. So if we boil it all down, what are the big lessons from the crow's masterclass?
Number 1, you gotta know when to quit a bad strategy. Number 2, taking a pause to just think isn't wasting time. In fact, it's probably the most productive thing you can do. Third, the tools you need to solve your problem, they're often hiding in plain sight, right in your environment. And last but not least, never ever underestimate the power of small, steady, consistent actions.
And that really leaves us with one final question, something for you to think about. Take a look at the biggest, most out-of-reach challenge you're facing in your own life right now, and ask yourself, what's your pebble? What's that one small, consistent action you could start taking today?